Welcome to Cynthia Yoshikawa Yoga. I am Cynthia, and I'm here to talk to you about something that is actually pretty central to learning yoga that you should know about, right? So, the first sutra is sometimes translated as the time for yoga is now. Not yesterday or tomorrow, but now. It's not when we're stronger, more flexible, when we lose weight, or any of the other reasons that we use to delay beginning the practice or anything else for that matter. So there's this paradigm shift happening in yoga teaching that very much aligns with the first sutra. Yoga oftentimes is taught in a very Simon Says way, and your body needs to fit into the prescribed shape of a posture. So the new thought is that the posture should fit you as you are now. That yoga embraces where you are now physically, spiritually, and mentally. I found as I started teaching my students that they would say they felt that yoga wasn't for them because they couldn't get their bodies to do what they were seeing other people and their instructor do in class. And they would feel lost. Because they couldn't keep up. And they got really discouraged because, they couldn't do it and they felt badly about themselves for not being able to do what everyone else so seemingly could easily do. It was like, what's wrong with me? It's just yoga. What's wrong with me? So then they just stopped. And if my students feel this way, then there are many more out there who feel the same way too. So let's shed some light on why this is. There's some really specific reasons, okay? So the way I explain it to my students, yoga postures are like the 400-pound weight at the gym. When you walk into a gym and you see a rack of dumbbells, you can look at them and know where in that range you are, right? The lower end is the lighter weight, then there's the middle weights, and then there's the heavier weights, right? And you know by looking at them where you should go. Then you can go to the weights and see the weights and just try them out. You can move up or down from there. Basically, or you are calibrating where you are so that you can pick what is best for you, right? But it's different in a yoga class, be it in person or online, because you see a human body in the full expression of a posture, which is really like the heaviest weight on the rack. And then you think that is the only way to do that posture. And if that human body can do that, then mine should be able to as well. And it's like super frustrating when you can't. And frankly, if there are a lot of people in your class, the instructor probably won't have time to help you. And that is just being realistic, right? There are too many people. So if you are new to yoga, you don't know that you can explore the different ranges in a posture. And even before, like the old paradigm was you just had to do what was there. Now the new paradigm is that there's more than one way to be in a posture that honors your body where you are now. And more teachers are teaching with body differences in mind, which is awesome, right? It just makes yoga more accessible for everybody. So certainly strength and flexibility play a part in how we can be in a posture, right? But our anatomy plays a part too. Because certainly strength and flexibility you can work on, but your anatomy is set, right? That's it. So we all have about the same body parts. Bones, muscles, ligaments, tendons, flesh, all that fun stuff, cells, 2 eyes, the nose and whatever, right? And looking at the outside of the body, there are variations that we can see, right? So some folks are thin, like I am thin, with less flesh on their bodies. Others live in a larger body and have more flesh. Others fall in the middle range, and some just have really large muscles that they've worked on. So I am on the thinner end of the range, and I have less flesh on my body. So for me, lifting a leg or an arm, it just takes so much less effort because my arms and legs just don't weigh that much. But someone with more flesh or really large muscles will have heavier arms and legs, which will take more effort to lift, right? It's the same with bellies and chests, right? Some are larger and will need to be moved so you can get comfortably into a posture like my daughter has to when she lays on her stomach. She's got to move things around so she can be comfortable in that position. So looking at the inside of the body, beneath the skin and underneath everything that you can see on the outside, that adds another layer to consider. And that's the stuff we can't see, that we'll never know about, right? Because we can't see it. So the size, shape, and length of the bones and how they are put together, as well as the muscles and connective tissue, also affect your yoga practice. Even the number of bones and muscles can vary. For example, some people have an extra vertebrae in their backs. It makes them extra twisty, but it can also cause other issues, and then they have to adjust for those, right? So for me, I have these crazy long arms. I mean, they are so long that I can't use machine weights at the gym. I'm either like too far, right, where I have to reach for the weight, or so close that my arms splay out. And neither one is stable for lifting. So I can't even do, machine weights. I have to do free weights, right? And I also have to adjust a lot during my yoga practice. Because if I were to try to meet a set standard for some postures, I would never be able to do it. I'd never be able to duplicate it. And because oftentimes my legs are lifted when they should be on the mat, like as in upward dog, like, typically your hands are down and your thighs are actually touching the mat and your body's lifted off. But because of my crazy long arms, they lift me up too high, right? So I just have to, be okay with that. And I just for my body, I just have to be up high, right? The other thing to consider, and I'm calling it door stops. So door stops keep the door from slamming into the wall and damaging it when you close it, right? But what does this have to do with yoga? So the human body also has door stops, so you don't damage important structures, right? I started practicing yoga more consistently about 4 years ago, and I decided that I was going to master full wheel, which is a full back bend. I'm working on it and working on it and working on it, and dude, it never changes. I have the same back bend. And then I had this flashback to when I was 8 years old, right? And when I was 8, there were 2 sisters at my school who were gymnasts, and they were teaching us gymnastics, right? Super fun. And one of them was amazing, just so flexible and graceful and strong. So for a year, that's all we did at recess. Gymnastics. Every single day. And I had this epiphany. My 8-year-old back bend was the same as my adult back bend. And if there was ever a time in my life that I would have had a perfect back bend, it would have been when I was 8 years old. But it wasn't. Right? My upper back has always been tight. But it's more than that. I think it's structural, right? I just do not have the range of motion in my vertebrae because of the shape of the vertebrae and the way they are put together. So for me, back bend's probably not possible because of that. So the reason for doorstops in the body is that they limit movement, so you don't damage structures and other things. As for my inability to backbend, my chiropractor said, and I was like, oh! I mean, I knew this, but then when he said it, it shocked me. My chiropractor said that our backs are not meant to bend in such an extreme way. Like, they can't just flop over, like, right? Because if my back did, and there were no stops in that motion, you would collapse your heart and your lungs. Minor details, right? Pretty important. So that's the reason we have stops, is to limit motion so that we don't damage anything. And in this practicing of, my yoga practice, one of my yoga teacher training instructors, Kristen Leal, and this was like a completely separate thing. Like, this is another thing to think about, right, in your yoga practice. Kristen Leal said something that made a real impression on me, and it was one of the many memorable mind shift moments during my training. She said, and I distinctly remember this, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Think about that. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So I could try full wheel, knowing the structural limitations of my upper back. But would that be the best thing for my body? I mean, the asana in this instance is not the yoga part, right? The yoga part of this is deciding if that posture honors your body or not. If it harms more than it helps, then how can you be okay with letting that posture go, or finding another variation or a completely different posture in that same category that works for your body? More often than not, a simplified yoga practice is the better practice because it allows us to drop deeper into our bodies and into ourselves and to honor where we are in the present, like now, as you're practicing, right? And this is the genius of the asana, the hatha asana practice, because it accesses the mind through the challenges of the body. In any class you take, every single body in that class is going to look different in some way and will express a posture differently because every body is unique because of our anatomy, not just our strength and flexibility, but because of our anatomy, because of how things are on the outside and how things are on the inside. So we're supposed to look different. The new paradigm really is about what sensation you're feeling and where you're feeling the sensation. It's about sensation and not about a perfect looking pose, right? So if you're in a forward fold, your forward fold might not be as deep as another person's forward fold, but guess what? You're both feeling the same sensation in the hamstring where it's supposed to be, right? It's pretty magical. So knowing all this now, go yoga your heart out, man. Celebrate and honor your body the way it is now. And start your practice. I hope that this kind of cleared a few things up and opened up your mind to how you can make a yoga practice yours for your body. So if this was awesome, actually I hope it was, go ahead and like and subscribe, because apparently we must please the algorithm gods. And it also lets me know what content you like, and I can just do more. And yeah, I hope to see you soon. I think I'm trying to think of what the next thing I'm going to be putting. Oh, yes. This next video after this, I'm going to be putting up why yoga. Oh, no, wait. How to keep your fascia healthy. I've been wanting to, I actually had this idea like 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, and just never did it until now. So look forward to that one. Look forward to seeing you again. Have, wherever you are, have an awesome day, night, whatever it is you're doing, and I'll see you soon. Bye.